Hey there, it's Mike Cooch with Digital Marketing Lab. Thanks for stopping by. In this presentation, I'm going to share with you 7 proven, very scalable service models for delivering marketing services to small businesses. If you're not real familiar with me, let me just give you a real quick background. I've started and built 2 very successful service firms, one providing IT services to small businesses and one providing marketing services to small businesses. And in both of those cases, the themes of the way that I built the business was that I took what were normally complex services that were hard to sell and at higher price points, which is challenging in the small business community in particular, and I did what I call productize them. So I took those complex services, I put them into much simpler packages at lower price points with recurring revenue that I delivered with more use of automation and scalable practices so that I could still offer those services at low price points, but have great margins and scale my business quickly, which is what I did in both cases and was able to sell one of those businesses very successfully because of that. Now, one of the major themes in my approach to building businesses that way that I want to make sure that you have in mind before we go through this presentation, and you may be able to see it on the slide back behind me here, is this idea of customers, not clients. Okay, if you've been running what I would consider a more traditional agency business, providing those services to small businesses, you are working with what I call clients. And clients have been pitched by many thought leaders as being ideal over customers because a client is somebody that you have a relationship with, that they're going to be with you long term, they're going to spend more money with you because they see you as this flexible solution provider, and you're probably selling some sort of custom services to them and one-off projects, and you may have found that that's a very, very difficult model to scale. And in fact, I would challenge you to find anybody who has scaled that model in the small business community, and I'll wait, you just let me know. I prefer customers, not clients. And what I mean by customers, I'm not saying that I don't want to have a relationship with them or anything like that. I'm just saying that customers come to you to buy a specific thing at a specific price point. And when you have specific things at specific price points to offer them, and you don't do anything outside of those packages, you have what I consider a productized business, and it is dramatically more scalable than your typical agency service provider. So keep that theme in mind. And with that, we're going to hop over to my computer here and I'm going to take you through these 7 proven service models. Hey, it's Mike. Okay, in this presentation, I'm going to take you through 7 proven services that scale business models. And I want you to keep in mind as I'm doing that the philosophy behind these is customers, not clients, okay? What I mean by that is that we do not want to put ourselves into a situation where we're providing custom services for anybody. Custom services to small businesses are not scalable. So we're going to create service packages that are very clearly defined, and ideally we completely control the delivery of those services, and I'll show you some examples of what I mean, so that we can create customers, people who buy from us a very specific deliverable at a specific price point, and we don't customize it, and they're happy and we're happy, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into it. What makes a service scalable? Okay, first at the top there, you've got to have strong demand, and it's got to be recurring demand. It's got to create natural recurring revenue. Okay, if you're selling to small businesses, you cannot afford to sell in any way where you don't have recurring revenue. It's impossible to build a long-term viable business without recurring revenue in the small business space. So it's got to be something that's going to lend itself to us naturally doing recurring either tasks or providing at least recurring value on behalf of our customers. The next is it's got to be high margin. We've got to have strong enough margins that we can actually keep our price points pretty low because small businesses are sensitive to price. So we want to keep our price points relatively low, but still have the margins to be able to have a good, strong business and be able to invest in sales and marketing. And in order to do that, it has to be largely what I call auto magic, okay? It doesn't have to be necessarily 100% automated, but you've got to have some automation in there or some technology, something that gives you that real scalability so that you can get those high margins that you're looking for. It can't be 100% reliant on just labor. Okay, so there are, again, 7 proven models that I have seen in this industry over the years that work over and over and over again, year after year, and are scalable. Number 1 is pay per lead, and we're going to get into all of these individually here in a moment. 2 is rental. 3 is media. 4 is content as a service. 5 are what I call assembly lines. 6 is what I call micromanagement. And 7 is what I refer to as the 3M model. There's actually an 8th bonus model here that I'm going to share with you in this presentation. Okay, first let's talk about pay per lead. Pay per lead is you generate and sell leads, and you do this using your own assets. Okay, remember I said in order to get that scalability that we're looking for, ideally we control the assets around the delivery of our services. So in this particular case, nothing is created or owned for the customer. So we're not creating a lead generation system for them as a project and then handing that over to them to manage. We are developing our own lead generation assets. So I would have plumbing landing pages floating all around on domains that I own, collecting leads, and then I would sell those leads on a per lead basis to plumbers that are looking for leads. Okay, that's the pay per lead model. It's been around a long time. There are some very large, successful businesses in the space, which demonstrates the viability and scalability of the model. Okay, the next model is what I refer to as the rental model. Okay, the rental model. And this is one that I've done very successfully. In fact, the business on the left-hand side there was my marketing services company, Cooch. And in this particular case, what you're doing is you build and own assets of your own again, and then you rent those assets to the customer. So nothing again created or owned for the customer specifically. So you don't build assets for the customer. I'm not building websites for my clients, okay? That would be client work. We don't do that. We build and own the assets, but unlike pay per lead, I'm not selling them leads from those assets. Instead, I'm just charging them a flat rental fee to have access, exclusive access to those assets for a period of time. So the way I've done this in the past is with websites, literally going out and buying up hundreds of domains, putting websites on them, and then renting those out to customers that value those specific domains and those assets. Very, very successful model. You can do this with lead generation sites. Again, but instead of selling on a per lead basis, you just rent them the site for a flat fee. Websites and funnels. Okay, you can do this with funnels as well, where you've learned to create a funnel for a particular industry. You can take that packaged up funnel that you've developed and then just rent it to a business for a period of time. Again, you're not doing any custom work for them. These are customers, not clients. Okay, next is media. The media business has been around forever, and it's an incredibly powerful, lucrative business. Now, in the local industry, in the local marketplaces in particular, it's taken a beating, right? Local newspapers, local magazines, radio stations even, those are really suffering because they have not adapted to digital. But there are wonderful examples of local media now that are digital that are working very, very well. Groupon, although we kind of like to talk bad about Groupon in the whole local agency space, is still a $1 billion plus company. So very successful media business. And in the media business, you build and own the assets, you own the attention, you own the list of customers, right? And then you sell advertising and or content or promotions through those assets. Okay, so you create content or promotions in the case of Groupon for a customer, but it's owned on your property. So all the traffic is coming to you, all the attention is coming to you. You own the ability to communicate with the customer. You can do this with niche specific media sites like I now run in San Diego. You could do this with directories. You could do this with email newsletters. I also do in San Diego. Special offer SMS lists, social accounts, Instagram accounts, Facebook pages. Again, I do that in San Diego right now. This is a very scalable, very attractive model where you own the assets. And again, you can sell traditional advertising on those assets, or there's a variety of different ways to monetize this, like you've seen with Groupon and others. This is a model that I'm a huge fan of and very much invested in. Content as a service. So again, this is a business that I have where I provide non-exclusive content for customers. Now that's the key there, non-exclusive. So in this particular case, what I do is I create content for one industry. So I create 5 blog posts each month, a full social calendar each month, and that content is non-exclusive. So I give that same content to all of my customers. It's up to them to then take that content and do some customization of it, add their own images in there, things like that to make it uniquely theirs. But they're getting that content at dramatically lower price than they would if they were to invest in having truly original content created for them each month. So it's a very nice service because it's a very low price and they get something that is 80 to 90% done, and then they just have to do the final customization of it to really make it theirs and to make it really fit their brand and their messaging. You sell that content as a subscription, okay? And then the content is created for the customers and owned by them, but it's not custom. That's the key, okay? And you can do this with blog posts, newsletters, social posts. Those are all 3 what I provide now. I've provided videos in the past. You can do that. I've done webinars in the past. You can do that as well. There's a lot that you can do with this model. Next is what I call assembly lines. Okay, assembly lines are where you develop and refine a process for creating something for customers, okay? But you are just much more efficient and effective than they could ever be at creating that because you're doing it for a whole bunch of customers. So you get a really nailed down process and you have a team and systems and tools and everything that's 100% design around that. So an example is the Newsletter Pro business in Idaho. These guys, all they do is produce newsletters, and I think they have around 50 or 60 employees. They've been around forever, recurring revenue, just producing newsletters for customers month after month. You can do that with a number of different things, okay? But again, you have a predefined package that you produce, a predefined thing that you produce, no customer, very, very little customization, and the product is created for the customers and owned by them. So in this particular case, it's a slightly less attractive model to me because you don't own the assets. You're creating something for the customer, but it's still a very, very nice model as evidenced by the scalability of the Newsletter Pro. And you can do this with blog posts, newsletters, social posts, videos, really lots of different opportunities to run an assembly line. Now, the next is what I call micromanagement. Okay, in micromanagement, you develop and refine a process for managing something very specific for customers. So this is different in that you're not necessarily producing a thing for your customers. Instead, you are managing a process for them. So slight difference there, but it's an important thing. This is management versus producing a thing for them. So in this particular case, it's micromanagement because it's something that's very specific. So these are very low priced opportunities, and that makes them very attractive as foot in the door offers, and it makes them also very scalable. These are the types of offers that you see out on marketplaces like Fiverr and things like that because they can be done at scale quite easily. And again, it's all about you having a process. So you're more efficient and effective than the customer is ever going to be because you have the tools, you have the system set up, and then you provide that process as a service with very, very little customization. You can see in this particular case, this is a podcast editing service. So they're not creating the podcast for you. They're not producing the podcast for you. That's still up to you. You've got to record your content. You got to know what to say and all that type of thing. In this particular case, they're just editing it for you. So just hand us your episode when you're done. we'll do the editing for you because we know that's a pain in the neck for you. We'll turn it around really quick and it's only $60. Okay? So that's a micromanagement service. So podcast editing, video editing, ad creation, social image creation, these are all great examples because the businesses need these over and over and over again. And it's kind of a pain in the neck for the businesses to do themselves because they don't have all the specialized tools and process for doing it efficiently. Okay, now, the next one is called the 3M model. The 3M model just refers to actually the way that I initially structured my services in my IT management business, and I found that it made a whole lot of sense to create these different levels of packages where the packages, on a basic package wouldn't include all the benefits of the Pro, and the Pro wouldn't include all the benefits of the Premium, but you're creating these different packages to give people different options depending on how much they want to spend and what benefit they're looking for. So in this particular case, I'm referring to developing and refining a process for managing a more general marketing function. So in the micromanagement, again, it was very specific. In the 3M model, it's more general. You're taking ownership of a bigger process on their behalf. Again, it's all about you being more efficient and effective than they can be on their own. And you provide that process as a service, again, with very little customization. Okay, so if we go back to the previous example, it was just, we'll edit a single podcast episode for you. We don't even really need to know what it is, what it's about, anything like that. Just send us the episode. We'll take out the ums and ahs. We'll do these standard things to make the sound quality better, all that. In this case, what we're looking at is actually more of a managed podcast process where they're helping you with everything related to producing this podcast. And they give you varieties of levels here because, in one particular case on the far left, maybe you don't want anybody to actually plan the podcast episodes with you. And on the far right, maybe you want somebody to actually be like your content strategist and plan the episodes with you. So there's a variety of levels of service that you can offer in there, but you can see they're all very clearly packaged, very clear benefits, as to what's included, features as to what's included at specific price points. And if you want something outside of those price points, it takes you to a different plan at a different price. Very nice and clear. Okay, so that's the 3M model. You can do this in social media management, SEO, reputation, ad campaign management, lead follow-up, appointment booking, lead generation, website chat management, reactivation services, social community management. I mean, there's just a ton of ways that you can package up services like this and provide these services to your clients, customers. So the final model that I want to share with you, I told you I'd share with you a bonus, and that is providing software as a service. And that is where you white label a software as a service platform and you set up the customers so that a particular function of that platform, or maybe all of the functions of that platform, they're able to get access to and able to use to perform for their business. Okay, they manage it, or you can actually create some of those 3M packages that we just went through around that software platform, but now it's based on the technology. It's based on an asset, which makes your service much stickier, much more proprietary feeling because it's built around this particular technology. Okay, and that's a real advantage in creating sticky services that last. So if you can find those SaaS platforms that you can build services around, it's a very, very attractive model. Okay, so that's the surprise bonus model, number 8, and it's absolutely one of my favorites. Okay, this works well in call tracking, lead capture, reactivation services, lead follow-up services, website chat, and I'm sure we could come up with a much bigger list of software platforms that you could use and that you could white label to deliver services to your customers. Okay, so that's our 8 proven business models: pay per lead, rental, media, content as a service, assembly lines, micromanagement, the 3M model, and then providing software as a service. Now, the key that I want to remind you with all of these is that they are productized. They're packaged up in a way that they have very clear benefits, very clear price points. And if you want something outside of the boundaries of those services, that's just not something that you provide. And that's a key mental shift that you have to make to take advantage of these so that you don't end up with clients. You don't want to end up doing customized client services. You've got to learn to say no to things that are outside of the packages of services. It's counterintuitive for a lot of people to do that, but the reality is when you do, it creates scalability, profitability, and allows you to grow much, much faster. Okay, I hope you got some good value out of the presentation, and I hope that these core concepts of customers, not clients, and productizing your services are eye-opening for you. They really do create much more scalability, profitability, and honestly, just a more enjoyable business to run when you apply them at your agency. Now, if you'd like to learn more about these scalable services and some of these concepts, you're gonna see a special offer down below this video for what I call my Services That Scale swipe file. In that swipe file, I have collected up, it says down there, 21 examples of different businesses that have achieved these services that scale models, but it's honestly, it's more than that. I keep adding to my collection. And I also share with you some of the best practices and core strategies around creating these scalable productized services, as well as one of the critical frameworks that I use to help me design those scalable service packages at my business. Okay, you're gonna see it down below this video. Again, I got a very special offer for you. I hope you can take advantage of it. And thank you so much for your time and attention. I appreciate it.